Yo, good evening, aviators. This is your captain speaking, DONMEGA in the house, along with my co pilots, Peeps and Frigginz, here for the Top Gun Maverick spoiler review. That is right, son. We are in the house. It is Am I Still on the Air? And this ain't your typical spoiler review. You know, we always be coming for the comic book movies, but this time something took our breath away, and we wanted to come and bring you a new spoiler review. So, once again, welcome to the show, and what up to my fellow aviators in the house?
What up?
What's up, DX? Thanks for having us on, my man. Appreciate you.
I didn't have aviators, but I went with the closest thing that I had. So,
Me too.
that's
We make it work with whatever we got.
right. That's right.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh my gosh, I am super stoked to talk about some Maverick tonight. So I'm
You
ready
made
to
this
take
whole
off.
thing happen, friggin'. So
I
hope
did.
you're
I was
excited.
like, hey, let's suit up. Let's put the helmets on and jump in the cockpits and let's do this.
He did. He did. I had no intention on doing a Top Gun Maverick spoiler review, even though I love the movie. Just didn't even cross my mind to do a spoiler review. And then Frigginz finally went and saw it, and he was like, "Yo, if you would like to do one, I'm down." And I was like, "You know what? I'm never going to pass up a podcast opportunity." So we put it together, and then we didn't think Peeps was going to be here because he hadn't seen the movies. So me and Frigginz were going to just knock it out tonight. And then somebody got on the motorcycle, got to the airport, and checked out the film and said, "Count me in." So here he is, joining up with the Red Dragons Assemble crew and ready to talk a little Top Gun Maverick. So happy to have you all back here again for another awesome spoiler review. Once again, spoilers. So yes, we will be
Spoilers.
talking about the film. And so if you haven't seen it yet, then what are you waiting for? Go see it and then come back, check out the spoiler review, and we'll get you caught up. So, once again, just kind of let y'all know who we are. Once again, this show is Am I on the Air? This is Am I Still on the Air, which is our spinoff when we kind of focus in and do our spoiler reviews, do our special kind of podcast here. My name is DONMEGA, and you can, of course, follow me at DX DONMEGA. We have Peeps over here at For My Peoples and Frigginz at Frigginz with a Z, as he likes to say, over here. So, yes. So, once again, guys, I welcome you to the show. So, as we always do, we have our format. You know, we talk about the movie, kind of just our overall thoughts coming out the theater. And then, of course, we break it down with what we didn't like, what we did like, what we loved, and kind of just wrap up the program here. So, this isn't a Marvel movie, so I don't foresee us going about 2 hours like we normally do on our spoiler reviews. There's not a ton to get into when it comes to this movie, other than pretty much pure excitement. So, so we will break that down and get you guys in and out with the quickness over here as much
Did
as
you guys
possible.
sit through all the credits?
No.
You didn't see the end credit scene?
Oh yeah, there was no end credits scene. We won't be talking about post credits and after credits and MCU updated countdowns or anything.
In the wreckage of one of the ships, a hand kind of came up.
There you go.
Damn it, Pete Mitchell. So yes. So okay. So as always, we'll start with our overall thoughts. So you know, I'm gonna actually pass this to Peeps first because this dude over here was like, I don't really care. Stupid airplane movie. Wasn't even going to see it. And so, you know, I would like to just know kind of, again, keep it simple. Just coming out the theater. You've already heard, you know, some hype from the internet and the hype from us too. But what was your overall thoughts kind of walking out now that you finally saw it?
I'm overall thoughts. It was a great action, spectacular movie. I loved the action. I try to think of how to even like how to even say it, but yeah, it had some good action, and I was excited. And the last scene of the movie, holy crap, that just went on for days, and I was trying to figure out what was fake and what wasn't fake, and I don't know. And I at the end of the day, like, I don't really care. Like, I had an amazing time. with that whole last scene, and it just kept going and going, and it was great. It was great. But at the end of the day, like in terms of the other stuff that I like in a movie, I was just like, it was very vanilla for me. It wasn't bad. It was just vanilla. The story was very stuff I'll talk about later, but it was very predictable. And a love story I didn't care about. So all that aside, you want to go to Top Gun, I think for one main reason, and that's to see Tom Cruise almost kill himself, doing ridiculous stunts. No, but I mean, you want to go for airplanes, you want to go for action. It definitely gave you that. I mean, for that alone, the movie is amazing, and all the stuff in between, it's not bad. It's good filler. So, at the end of the day, I was like, I had the IMAX experience as well. It was loud. It was booming. I had a beautiful picture while everything's going on. So yeah, man, I was like, yeah, go IMAX. Had fun.
There you go.
We'll talk about other stuff later.
He's all eject.
But maybe it was also my fault too, because even going into it, and I don't know if we're talking about going in thoughts, but going into it, as Don DX stated, I wasn't excited for this at all. So I'm sure these two these two definitely have different opinions when it comes to the going into it. So,
all right. Well, Frigginz, I'll pass it over to you. I know you saw it. Sunday? I think you finally got around to it over the weekend.
Yes, it was Sunday.
So where was your hype level kind of walking in, and where was it at coming out?
Well, first and foremost, this movie has been on my top 10 most anticipated list for like 20 years because it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So my hype for this was very, very, very high from the get. I really liked Top Gun, back in the day. Rewatching it as an adult after having not seen it for so long, I was like, okay, this is a little silly, but I still love it.
The original movie?
The original, right.
I gotcha.
So my hype was, through the roof. I was a big fan of the old stuff and really looking forward to the new stuff. When I heard that he was actually, and the cast were actually flying the jets and doing crazy stunts like that, I love practical effects. I think, practical effects make a movie so much better. And I think this is proof in that. Not that everyone should learn how to fly a jet when they're doing these films, but I thought that was really
new
cool.
Standard. Like, you can't do anything in a movie unless you're really doing
it.
Chris Pratt, you're not fighting dinosaurs. Come on.
We grew actual dinosaurs, and now you have to fight them. No, but yes, I think, so all of those components thrown in together had me super mega hyped. Going into the theater, there's this like little tidbit of panic right before it starts. Like, am I too hyped? Did I overdo it before I go and see this? But all the reactions on social media were saying how amazing it was and how great it was. And people who don't I follow a lot of like movie social media people, and they're like, usually putting these really artsy movies at their top, and this was like overtaking all those movies. So I had high hopes, and it did not disappoint. I came out like so hyped. The biggest disappointment I had is that when I got at the theater I normally go to was sold out literally all day Sunday. I couldn't have seen it in that theater until 10 o'clock, and I wasn't going to wait until 10 o'clock at night. So I had to see it at a theater that I don't normally go to. And I didn't realize that the tickets that I bought didn't have like the extra booming sound system or whatever. It was a huge screen, but it didn't have the Dolby Digital. So I was a little disappointed with that. And literally, like, as soon as the movie was over, I'm like, I need to go watch this again in a IMAX or XD Dolby Digital, whatever. I just need like it to be louder. I want to feel like I'm in that cockpit.
I know, almost worth a drive up to Phoenix and go check it out in the big IMAX up there at the mall. So
I will do this.
Pretty bomb.
That's a good idea. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So So I'm kind of in the middle there. So like going into it, I didn't have super high expectations. I mean, I kind of talked about this on my new episode earlier in the week, which was that when we did our top 10 countdown, wasn't even on my top 10. I don't even think it was on my honorable mentions. But I was looking forward to it, but it just hadn't reached that kind of level. I always thought it looked cool, but wasn't expecting it to be, what it was. So kind of, I was very excited to go see it. Got the early passes to go see it on last Wednesday, and saw it in a normal screen on Wednesday. And going into it was like, okay, this should be pretty good. And right out the gate, I was like, I just had a good feeling right from the beginning, right? Like when the music hits and you just hear like the old school Top Gun theme, and and then the danger zone kicks in, you're just like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm ready. And it just pumped you up right from the beginning. And seeing him again as this character, and kind of the movie gets going, and just everything that happened in it that we'll dive into later, just walking out, I was just like, oh my God, like that was such a fun ride. Like that is, besides comic book movies and all these other things we've grown accustomed to, this is a summer blockbuster. This took me back to those days, of just the big summer movie. Like this screams popcorn summer action, just everything from the music to the nostalgia to the action, just everything was just that big summer movie that you've been kind of waiting for. And I walked out just over the moon about it and couldn't wait to see it again. I had tickets to go Friday night and see it again in IMAX. And then something came up and we ended up canceling those and getting them for Thursday night. So I went back to back from Wednesday night right to Thursday night, 24 hours later in the IMAX. And it was such a better experience. I mean, just the screen size and the sound and just everything was so much more amped up. And it was just as good, if not better, that second go around. And I walked out just flabbergasted at how much I loved it. I'm not the biggest fan of the original movie. I don't think it really holds up. I mean, that original film is 36 years old, guys. 36 years old. I mean, that's nuts. Like, there's not many movies that could put a sequel out 36 years later and have it be what this movie is. And so I was just not expecting it. The biggest pleasant surprise of the year, no doubt. And just incredible. So overall thoughts are just amazing walking out. And just one of those movies that I just feel like I've been talking about, and I've been like, people have been like, oh, have you seen it? And I'm like, yes, you got to go see it. And you got to go see it in the biggest screen possible. And really just ranting and raving about it, telling my in-laws, telling my dad, and it's all ages for this movie, like they're saying this is the first movie after the pandemic to bring, that older over 50 crowd back out to the theater, because they've been really gun shy and they haven't been wanting to go to the theater, and they're all about streaming now, but they went back to the theater for this movie, and then even the younger generation, just because of the younger actors in the movie and having like Miles Teller and stuff like that, has brought, everybody back together. And of course, Tom Cruise always has his built-in fan base. So it just really hit on all levers. So that's what was really, really awesome about it. So there's a lot to dive into, but we'll start, as we always do, with kind of going right into what didn't we like. Is there anything that kind of stood out coming from it that we maybe didn't like? And remember, again, it's spoilers, so as we start to talk about story points, keep that in mind in case you're like, what the hell, man? Like, so just know that we'll be talking about it. I'll start here, and like basically I don't have much to say. I really don't have much to say when it comes to what didn't I like. And I don't even know, again, sometimes when we talk about this segment, it's not even stuff we necessarily didn't like. It's just maybe nitpicking, and then maybe it's like I would have maybe done it a little bit differently. Number one, I would have killed him off at the end. I think honestly, like at the end there, when
I thought it was gonna happen,
Miles Teller was out of flares and he flew up and he popped his flares and he got hit with the missile. Perfect ending right there, right? He goes out a hero. It's basically that reverse, right? It was Miles Teller's dad that died with him as his wingman, and then it's kind of reversed. He saves Miles Teller and kind of pays it forward almost that way. and and he goes out the hero, and we kind of move into that next kind of phase of Top Gun. I thought it was going to be a ballsy move. I was really down for it, and then he woke up in the snow, and I was like, fuck, of course they're going to take the easy way out with this. And not that I hated the happy ending and that yeah, he's alive, but I would have done it a little bit differently. I thought it would have been really cool. 36 years later, he's already kind of on the outs with the military. You know that this is his last flight, so to speak, anyway. Even if he comes back from this thing, and I think they should have went that route and actually had him sacrifice and go out like the hero that he was. So that's a different way I would have done. I think that's pretty much all I got, to be honest. That was the big thing that walking out of it both times, that I was just like, man, I just think the ending could have really popped. But I know they kind of wanted to probably have that really happy kind of ending, for that nostalgia kind of factor coming out of it. The only other thing that bugged me was at the end too, when he goes to the bar to look for her, and he's like, where's she at? And the old dude's just like, she went on a sailing trip. And he's like, cool, do you know when she'll be back? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, she owns the bar. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
She owns the bar. She would not have just left on a damn trip and she'd be like, I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to come back. I'm just going to go. And
maybe she said, don't tell him.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe. But it just, honestly, that scene was just super unnecessary. It was like a minute that really did nothing for the plot or for anything. There was really no purpose of it, and it just came off dumb because no owner is going to leave their bar and just have some dude just be like, yeah, I don't know when she's going to come back. She just went on a sailing trip. She went to the ocean, and we don't know when she'll return. So that bugged me. Bugged me even more the second time because I was like, God, that's a stupid ass question. Like, but that's it. That's all I got. So Frigginz, I'll throw it to you because I feel like Peeps will have the most to talk about in this area.
Hey. Probably.
Frigginz on what didn't we like?
Well, I just wanted to comment on your the ending twist. What was funny is early in the movie at the very beginning when they were talking about the plan, they had mentioned they have some old F-14s or whatever the plane was that he used in the first one. And as soon as they said that, I was like, this dude's gonna get in that thing and fly that thing out of here. So
I love that plane though, by the way. I used to love those planes with the wings
that open up and stuff. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. But anyway, as far as my nitpicks here, because again, they are nitpicks. There's a couple things that just kind of bother me very, very slightly. And one was kind of the Val Kilmer introduction. I love that he was in it. So what I'm saying is that they waited until they were almost done and to that mission for them to have that connection. And then, he immediately passes on right almost after that Tom Cruise had saw him. I think they should have had Pete meet with him earlier instead of just doing the text, have that conversation that have happened. So, and then showing the text continuing throughout, the training, and then had him pass away. So there's a little bit of a time component added because it seemed a little too convenient for we had this talk and then boom. And I know that he only went to go talk to him because they said hey, things have gotten worse. But I feel like it happened too conveniently, one right after the other, to impact him. I think that could have been spread out a little bit throughout the film to show time passing. That was one thing that bothered me. Again, I'm talking nitpicks here.
We didn't have a lot of time, though, if you think about it. I mean, they only had 2 weeks to get this mission together and actually fly.
Right. It was a short period of time anyway.
Yeah. So it would have only changed a couple days of when he would have saw him.
Yeah, but I still think that restructuring would have been more time for the audience to have, experienced this kind of friendship and then have a little bit more impactful ending at the end.
But what I'll counter you on that though is that they showed that text chain going for a majority of the beginning of the movie, so at least you saw they were keeping up with each other and they were kind of following up, and you could have given me a heads up on what this mission was, and all this stuff. And
funny
so when
thing
it did get to the point of I need to see you,
he's using his keyboard
very fast.
As soon as Tom Cruise will send a message, bloop, a whole reply already pops up.
He's anticipating what he's gonna write. He's already writing it.
Yeah.
I think again, I'm talking about nitpicking. I just think that the restructuring that a little bit would have been a little bit more effective. But again, love the scene though, all in all. The other thing was with Penny, I was super confused, not being like a Top Gun aficionado that knows like every detail of it. I'm like, am I supposed to remember her from the first? So I literally watched it right before we came here. I didn't watch all of it. I watched some of the movie before we started this episode. And there was a reference to Penny. I was like, oh, that was such a throwaway comment. Like, how are we supposed? They're like, oh, you dated Penny, the Admiral's daughter. Like, that was literally, and I'm like, how was I supposed to remember that? But I did like that they tied that in. But it did have me confused as to, you know, what her this relationship was previously, especially since the movie.
It's been 36 years, Fred.
Right.
A lot of shit's gone down.
Dare you not remember though?
I know I should have watched it before. And I had watched it to prep for
36
Maverick,
years,
like last fall when it was supposed to come out, and then they moved it, and I was like,
two years ago when it was supposed to come out.
Yeah. But anyway, those were like my two biggest nitpicks. That I guess there's one little detail, and this might just be not. It might be just me not understanding the difference between Machs or G's or whatever. But like, I thought it was weird because in the beginning when he was doing the test plane, he hit like Mach 10 and the plane was falling apart and this was burning up and this is brand new top of the line, airplane. But then at the end, when he's in the F-14 or whatever, he when they're going up over the mountain and whatnot, they do like it shows the counter again, and it said 10, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a Mach or a G, or if there's a difference.
It wasn't a Mach.
I don't understand what any of that shit means. So
I think it was the G's, confused. Which the G's was the pressure because he was going up, whereas like the Mach is just the speed.
Yeah, so I don't know, whatever. I just was like, why did the advanced plane
they were Mach G's
fall apart and this plane didn't? I thought they were the same physics aspect, but I think that was a little confusing for someone who doesn't know shit about planes. So I thought they could have, explained that. Again, I'm just digging for something to complain about. Peeps, why don't you tell us what real complaints sound like?
Wow, Fred.
Take it away. Real complaints from Peeps.
All right. Well, unlike either one of you, I don't have the desire to watch this movie again. If I do, I'm going to skip chapter to chapter so I can watch the airplane scenes. Everything in between, I wasn't interested in. Especially now that I've seen it and I know how the story develops. I think I'm good. I don't need to see all that in betweeny stuff. Just can somebody out there make me an edit of just airplane crap, and I'll be happy. Yeah. But yeah, that's just me.
No heart.
At the end of the like towards the end when Maverick was fired, I guess for hey, you're after Val Kilmer's character died, you're grounded, you're yada yada. How did he get back on the base? And how did he steal an airplane and choose the perfect time to wait for the meeting to start at that specific moment when he pulls up the thing and like, okay, this is what we're, and then at that moment he's going to start going down the runway just to prove his point. Yes, movie, yes, cinematic, yes, I know, but I'm just like, that was so.
Because that's good. The way Maverick rolls.
That's right.
Right. He had
just like when they tried to ground him at the beginning for the Machs.
That's
he was
right.
like, Mach.
You got
and they
the
said,
agenda.
don't go over 10. They said, don't go over 10. He's
but
like,
he was
10,
literally
1,
grounded
10, 2,
and sent
10,
off
3.
base. How did he get back on? I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
They hadn't revoked his credentials yet.
And also, even that moment, I'm like, I feel like you should have done this like days ago. Like they're all like, defeated, and there's no way that we can do this. Maybe just motivate your dudes and be like, this is how you do it, and then do it. But again, it would have been a much quicker movie. So, we had to wait until the most dramatic moment, in the storyline to do that.
I mean, he was just trying to teach. He couldn't do it himself because they were adamant on you ain't flying this mission. You're a teacher now. Yeah. So
he also broke the plane. So he was waiting till he was fired to break the plane.
Because if he would have broke the plane when he was still on, yeah, good point, Fred. And DX, I like you thought that this, since it's called Maverick, this would be a perfect end to his tale at the end of the movie with him dying. But I thought maybe a fun little piece that could have happened is that instead of, he gets shot down and then he does all of that getting the other plane off screen, so that at the end when they're doing the dogfight with these fifth generation planes, whatever the heck that means, that at the last moment he will come in his old school F-12, whatever F he was in, and then save the day that way. I would have been kind of cool too, but I guess watching them steal the plane was fine also. How did he get off the runway? Well, now we know. Whatever. Yeah. And you guys, hey, if y'all want to talk any crap about anything I have to say, please feel free to jump in. The repeated scenes from the first movie, right? Like they do that for nostalgia. Like you said, DX, from the get-go, they dong, and then they're doing the little, I have hot shots in my head more than I have Top Gun. I watched that movie so I just pictured them like roasting hot dogs on the back of like airplanes and stuff like that in the beginning. But that, and then the beach football scene, and then the literally great balls of fire. Like we're just going to repeat all the fun scenes from the first one. I'm like, and then as soon as him and Jennifer Connelly got together, I'm like, here comes the black and blue love scene that's going to last an entire song. But they didn't do that. They skipped it. So thank you, because I hated that. That scene was super long in the original. It was so long.
It's so sexy.
It was. I didn't say it wasn't a hot scene. It was just a long, hot ass scene. Yeah.
They made you wait for that new Lady Gaga song at the end.
They did.
Oh, boy. The love story between him and Penny. I don't care. I don't care about that. Yes, they needed it to pad the runtime. But at the end of the day, when he said, "Where is she?" "Oh, she's gone." I'm like, cool. Now she just did the same thing that you did to her. Perfect. How's it feel? And he kind of smiles. And I thought she was just going to be gone, but he's got to have everything at the end. I don't know. Like, I didn't care. Like, if she would have been gone or if she was there, whatever. I don't care. So,
Jennifer Connelly, baby. I always care.
Apparently, like the original actress that was his love interest, Tom Cruise wanted her to come back, but she's like, said something along the lines is like, I'm too old and fat to come back to acting, so like I'm good.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. And that too, like I was kind of looking for a lot of cameos, and I couldn't. Unlike Frigginz, well, you said you saw it after, but every time a new face popped up, like the black dude Warlock, I guess they said his name at the end, and even John Hamm's character, I'm like, were they even mentioned, or were they maybe his like co-pilots in the original? And like I can't remember. Like I know the older guy that admiral or whatever that popped up in the beginning of the movie. I know he was in the original film, but I don't know. That's not really a nitpick. Sorry, I got distracted.
Think he was.
He wasn't. Ed Harris.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
He wasn't. Really?
No,
it was a different actor.
Was it the dude from Back to the Future? No. The principal from Back to the Future? That was him, right?
Principal. I don't remember the principal.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Tom Cruise gets fired, right? And he does a stupid move. And he's like, "God damn it, Maverick. That was the most reckless thing I've ever seen. But I think we're going to bring you back on and you're going to be the crew leader." Cool. Skip to 2 weeks later and they're ready to go. Like, did they learn? I guess they did actually figure out how to do the run in that amount of time, or did they not know how to do the run in that amount? They skipped 2 weeks from that point to the start of the mission. I when they did the mission, I'm like, fuck, they're going to die because nobody could do the mission at that point of the movie. And it's like, oh wait, now everybody can do it now. So I guess that would have taken away the theatrical effect if they would have shown that everybody was able to do it. But I feel like in every montage in every movie, they're not able to lift up the weight that they're supposed to lift until the point where they do, or they get very close to it. But they skipped that part. Whatever.
I'll agree with you on that one. That is That is something that that would be something that I thought too, was that just that typical, like the whole montage of every single flight pattern, everything single flight sequence was miss, killed, missed,
Blacked
killed, they
out.
couldn't drop
Like,
the
dude
thing.
literally blacked out, and he
Yeah.
picked him for
Yeah.
the mission.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it's actually mission time, everybody made it through the canyon, no problem. Everybody dropped the chains, no problem. Everybody got up the G's, no problem. Like everything was like flawless.
He even did a blind, like without like no scope, kind of like shoot the missile into the hole.
The laser didn't even work. And we
Use
still
the
blindly did
force.
it.
Rooster, use the force. I feel
Yeah.
like it was like
Movie
they
magic.
showed up and it was their data was wrong, and they're like, "Oh, this is way easier than we've been practicing."
Yeah. They put us in a tighter space.
Yeah. The space is
wasn't
like
even
this.
that
Gravity
bad.
is much less. The G's are much easier on this side of the
Yeah.
world. Okay. Yeah, maybe, whatever. Oh, the story it was so freaking predictable to me. Like, they're like, Maverick, we got 12 people that you got to pick. Or no, we have 12 candidates. You got to pick the 6 of the best. Well, I wonder who he's going to pick. Is he going to pick the only 6 people that they've introduced at all and shown throughout this entire?
Well, they showed
like,
another 6 in the bar when they walked in. They were
Sure
like,
they
"Hey,
did.
there's Squadron B over there."
Yeah, like, what were
It could have
any
been
of their
any
names?
of them.
Anybody?
It could
What
have
were
been any
any
of
of
them.
their names? Nobody knows, but we know
It
Phoenix,
was
we know Hangman, we know
Jinxies,
Bob.
Shaggy,
There's
Velma,
Louis, right? There's
Louise.
Yeah. But I don't know. I knew who they were going to pick as soon as they brought up the 5th generation airplanes. I knew they were going to have a dogfight. Yeah, we got to stay low and we got to get out before those 5th generation planes pop up. You're going to have a dogfight because you keep talking about how it's not the plane, it's the pilot. Of course, they're going to have a fight with those planes. Of course, Maverick's going to be in that mission. It's just, how are we going to get to that point? Like, super predict. I knew exactly where we were going to go. I just didn't know if he was going to die, and B, I didn't know if anybody else was going to die. And like, nobody died, and that was kind of like, I thought somebody was going to die in that mission.
Somebody
Nobody.
making it
That's
back.
kind of
Yeah.
cool, though.
It
I
was a
kind of like
suicide
that.
mission. Yeah.
But I kind of like that. Nobody
And come
did.
home, sir. Right? And come home.
And come home. Yeah. Look,
And
I
come
gotta
home,
say,
sir. Right? And come home.
probably like 85 to 90% of Marvel movies are predictable. There's a few unpredictable aspects to them. So many of them are formulaic. So don't come at me with this predictable structure.
I had
Marvel
no
movies have
idea
the
where
same
Doctor
structure.
Strange was going to go, Frigginz. I'm sorry. I had no idea where that movie was going.
I said 85 to 90%. I didn't say
Okay, that was you're right. All right. Yeah, and then those missiles. As soon as those missiles lock onto you, you're dead. Okay, but like every missile in that whole freaking like I don't know, mountain ended up locking onto them out of the way, and it's fine. They got out of that just fine. So I don't know. It wasn't that big of a deal. And why? And that's the last thing, I think.
It's gonna be rather
This went longer than I
an
was
inconvenience.
This is the last thing.
Barely
were
an
the
inconvenience.
Why were the 5th generation planes better? Is it just because they're better? I know they did that little stall move that I don't know what happened. That looked cool, but like, I don't. Why are they better? The whole movie, they want to use all these amazing aviator like terms that I have no idea what they're talking about. But they couldn't just say that their flux capacitors are 10 times bigger than our models or something. Why are those planes better?
So the simplistic explanation of 5th gen planes are better. That wasn't enough.
It's a
That
5th
wasn't
gen.
enough.
Just like the 9th gen
Were
iPad is way
they
better
flying
than
the
the 4th
4th
gen
gen?
iPad.
Were they using? I didn't know
The
they had
iPhone 13 is better than the iPhone 6.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
the
some
S22
older
is
cars
better
are
than
better
the
than the
S6.
newer ones. I mean,
I
you could
appreciate
argue.
that focus on detail, though, my friend. I do. I really do.
Some older cars are better than newer ones. And he even said, how was he able to take one out with an airplane that was that 2nd generation? I don't know what an F-12 or F-13 is that he ended up getting, but he was able to take one out with that generation, but they can't do with the later generation that they have now.
I don't know.
attention to
I don't know.
detail,
You're
Frigginz? Is that
overthinking it.
probably too much
I said I
detail?
appreciate your
Oh,
attention.
okay.
Yes.
No. But yeah, like it's just silly little nitpicky things. But again, when it's and DX, you and I, we say this all the time. For me, this was a shut off your brain kind of movie because if I cannot think about any of that stuff and I cannot sit here and just wait, like, all right, stop talking to the lady in the bar, just get back to the base, my man. Stop talking to the kid. He doesn't like you. He's not going to like you until the end of the movie. Just get on an airplane, please. Like once I get out of all that, like my God, and I know that's where we're going next, but the spectacle that they did give us of the pew pew and the films and the like the kid in me definitely like I was like, man, that's what I did love airplanes at one time in my life, and this is the reason why. So
yeah, it made me want to get like a flight simulator and just start playing like right away. Like I'm like, where's my VR headset? Time to get that Top Gun download.
It literally made me want to go try and fly a plane. Like I'm gonna go to pilot 100%. School now.
like military pilot school. You just go to like do like a normal farmer's, so you can just do like a little drop the pesticides on a.
Okay. Yes. That's all.
But Fred's gonna go to like G10 when he does that, right?
Yeah. In my mind, I will. I drive my car like I'm flying the plane. I'm like, they're all around us. Right, put my blinker on.
Yes. So you tell the enemy which way you're turning. That makes sense.
Shifting drastically.
Yes, with the noises like Fast and Furious.
That's ground. No.
Speaking of Fast and Furious, I feel like after the success of Top Gun Maverick, this is gonna become the new
same universe.
like now they're going to like
is Maverick the cousin of Dominic Toretto? Yeah. That'd be awesome.
They're gonna have to become the new top secret, jet fighting team that has to save the world 10,000 times.
That'd be so awesome. Fast 11, baby. We just fucking put it together.
If you win by an inch or Mach 10, it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Winning's winning.
Yeah.
Too fast, too Maverick.
Goodness gracious. Glorious. Great balls of fire.
Yes. All right. What did we love? Let's just switch gears here. It's time to move along with what we loved. And, one of the biggest things for me in this movie that I thought I got such a kick out of, and I don't know how many of you guys noticed it or what, but it was the old school movie style of this. I say nostalgic. In my non-spoiler review, I was trying to kind of dance around it, like the nostalgic feels, but like literally from the opening of this movie, right? Like you got the writing and it's like, and blah, blah, blah. This school was created and they called it Top Gun, right? Like, and then you have the airplane carrier and you hear the music and then it goes to Danger Zone and it's like opening credits. When is the last time you've seen a movie that's like starring Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, Val Kilmer, like in literally flashing names, and it's got the opening song playing. Like, remember all the movies used to have like 10 minutes of opening credits, and you're like, just start the fucking movie.
Start the movie.
But like, and now all movies do it. You don't see credits to the end, but this movie had that old school, just like throwing up the credits. It has a soundtrack with new songs that are written for the movie. New Lady Gaga song, the new One Republic song. Like it played in such a way. And then even the end credits, right, where they have the pictures of everybody with their names on it. So-and-so, like Val Kilmer is Iceman, and it's like, I don't know, man. I got such a kick out of just that old school kind of vibe that they knew what they were doing. They're like, yo, we have an old school kind of crowd that's coming back for this, and we're mixing it with the new school, and we're kind of doing it up in that same nostalgic way. There was no need to play Danger Zone in this movie, but they did it because it was such a kickoff to hear just like Danger Zone, like with all these planes just taking off. Like there was like it had nothing to do with the airplane carrier in the beginning of the movie, but that's what we watched while the opening credits played, So that was cool as hell. Yes, it's predictable, peeps, but you know what? Like sometimes, what sequel really isn't, especially like these sequels that come far down the road, right? We talked about how The Force Awakens was basically A New Hope, just under a different coat of paint. A lot of these sequels that are far down the line are just the original story kind of done over again. You know, they're like, hey, instead of volleyball, we're going to play football on the beach. That sounds good. Let's mix that up. But we got to have a shirtless scene. So we'll have that.
Hey,
Abs on the
when
beach.
Goose
We must have it.
played the piano? I think we can do that again.
We could have his son do it as a grown-up. This will be incredible.
His name should have been Moose.
Wow.
Moose.
Get out of here.
That is a rooster. Yeah.
But it worked, and I liked the love story didn't bother me at all because it didn't feel like they overdid it like at all in this movie. Like it has little chunks. You know, she's kind of like, I like the scene in the bar when, you know, she's like, you got to pay everybody's tab. Like it was cute and it was fun. And you could tell like she had been kind of burned by him. So she was kind of playing a little hard with him at the beginning. And then I like that she was that inspiration for him. Like, cause when he got fired, he was the one that was like, it's over. I'm done. You know, these poor kids are going into the danger zone and I can't help. And she's like, that's not you, Pete. You need to go show him what's up, you know? And so, you know, he went and took over that plane and then went and did his thing. Right. You know, and you of course got the angry military people that for whatever reason don't like him, you know, which I don't know. Like to me, I'm like, I don't see how you couldn't like the dude. Like like they talk about how his credentials are so amazing and he's such like an inspiration to the Top Gunners, but like, I don't like you. Like I hated that John Hamm hated him so much in this movie. Yeah. Like, you know, it wasn't of course till he landed the plane back on the airplane on the carrier at the end that he gave him the little nod, you know, of approval.
Very classic though. Back to what you're saying.
It was very classic. Like, exactly. Yeah. You know, like I'm not actually going to hug you or shake your hand, but you have my respect. That nod of respect.
Still going to fire you after this mission, but
yeah, exactly. You know, we don't need people like you. You know, like, yeah, like I said, the second, you know, Iceman dies, they're like, you're fired. Like, you know, like just having to go through all that. And it's like not even given the respect for him to complete the mission, you know. And but of course, you know, besides the story, besides the nostalgia, I mean, this movie lives and breathes by all the airplane stuff that we had heard years ago that Tom Cruise was actually flying F-14s and going around and like taking, you know, years of flying lessons so he could get behind that cockpit and actually film this thing for real. You know how legit he is. We've seen it with the Mission Impossible movies that every movie he's like, strap me to an airplane and I'm going to jump off. And like, he just does all this crazy shit. I was just watching a talk show the other night where he literally went up on a plane and took the host up on the plane and was spinning them around and all this stuff. And it's just like, you could just see it right there. Like, boom, like he's got nobody else in the cockpit, you know, like, I mean, and it helped. I mean, there's very little to no like CGI for the most part in this movie. I mean, even the scenes with the other ones, they rented those. They had Navy pilots up on those planes flying that stuff and recording it, you know, and that realism is what really rocks this movie. Like you've never seen anything like this. I mean, from just the typical stuff in the training montage where, you know, he's tagging them, you know, and they're having to go back and do push-ups every single time, you know, gotcha, boom, go do 100 push-ups, you know, gotcha, boom, like, you know, and they just kind of, he just keeps taking everybody out, you know, and having those moments there. You know, having of course the typical kind of beef with Miles Teller's character, you know, like why'd you pull my papers? You set me back years on my career, you know. But it's like then you find out that, you know, his mom told him, you know, like, hey, I don't want him flying because of what happened to his dad. So he kind of did it to help the mom, which then you find out that Meg Ryan has died, and you're like, that's why she's not in this movie either. Yeah. But, you know, and then, of course, the whole battle at the end, finally, like him coming in, proving it could be done, leading the team, getting back behind that cockpit, and just, oh, my God, dude, just that whole final sequence, you know, flying through the canyon, dropping the bombs, you know, the enemy coming, getting shot down, finding the F-14, you know, everything. And then even like the other team coming and helping him out at the end. I didn't know how I would feel about the younger crew, you know, going into this movie, because sometimes that shit don't play well. You know, it's how I felt with Expendables 3, right? They were like we love the Expendables movies because of all our old school action heroes, and then Expendables 3 came and they were like, oh, here's this young crew And I was like, I don't give a fuck about any of these people, which is funny because one of the guys was Glenn Powell, who was one of the guys that flew in this movie. So, but you know, but yeah, it was one of those things. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I did. Like, I loved all those characters, man. Everybody. And Bob, like, I just got such a kick out of it. What's your call sign? Bob. Like, you know, so
I kind of also love how we
that.
never really find out why his call sign is Bob. Like, it was always
Just
stopped,
does.
like very much like Joker, like right before that was actually answered.
Yeah, I ended up loving all those characters, even somebody like, you know, Hangman, that is such a jerk and such an asshole, and you're hating him the whole movie, and then of course he saves the day at the end, right? And you're like,
That
oh,
was
that
amazing.
fucking guy, that guy, you know, like, I like that dude. That's a good guy right there. You know,
Again, the little respect thing at the end, right?
Yeah, you know, they were like, that dude, you know, so like everybody earns their moment, and I just love that core group. I loved, you know, when they threw him out of the bar and then they find out he's the teacher, and they're all like, oh, fuck.
They're like,
you know,
man.
like, they're like, shit, like, I just threw this guy out the bar last night. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it just literally just everything, man. Like, it was just such a like, just complete old school movie for me that hit on every single mark. Like I said, from the action to the heartstrings, dude. The Val Kilmer, you talked about it earlier, Fred. You know, working that in. We all know Val Kilmer does have throat cancer. It is very hard for him to talk. Most of the times he can't talk. And working that in, that he's like, you know, the admiral now, and he called for Maverick to come take this mission, and then, you know, oh, it took a turn for the worse, and he's having trouble talking, and playing that into the storyline, and then having that moment where he's just typing, but then he talks to him, and he's like, you know, I love you, and I need you to do this, and they hug. And I was reading about how on set, like, that hug was improvised, and it just felt so much to both of them to have that moment 36 years later. After that original, you know. And then I love the line of like, you got to tell me who's best fighter pilot, and then Tom Cruise is like, let's not ruin the moment. Like, I love that, that when they brought it all together, just seeing that, you know. And of course it was sad as hell because you saw it in the trailer that they were at a funeral at one point, and you were always thinking from the beginning that's going to be Iceman, right? Like, I knew right away, but then I was like, maybe they'll swerve it, right? Like, because they're doing this kind of side role where he's, you know, like, you don't see him too much. He's a boss. Like, I figured they could have danced around it a little bit, but then they played into it that, you know, this was his last big call, and he passes away. So, I mean, that pulled on the heartstrings. Like, it was sad, you know, but you're laughing, you're crying. The action's incredible. Like, dude, it just literally took you across every emotion you would want in a movie. And that's why, like, walking out of it, I was just like, dude, like, what a pleasant surprise once again. Of something that I only had kind of medium expectations on. So kind of my overall there on what I kind of stood out to me. So Frigginz, pass it to you, man. What were the big things there for you?
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up what you just said because everything you were saying, I'm like, agree. And I also just want to just be simplistic and be like, everything?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, like, this was such a rush of that nostalgia factor, and you talked about that already, and I think that's what really takes it to the next level, because from the beginning, as soon as that music started hitting in the title screens, I like looked over and I was like, I love this already. And I mean, that's all it took, and then it was just from there on. And what's cool is, like, for the new generation, they may not love it as much as us because of that nostalgia factor isn't tied to it. But at the same time, it's still just a good movie. Like, you know, like what you were talking about as far as the popcorn summer blockbuster vibe, it definitely gives that old school feel. And Peeps, unlike you, I actually think the predictability kind of enhanced the film in a way, and normally that's not a good thing when you can see everything coming, but when it's giving you everything you kind of really want, I think that is where it kind of takes it to the next level. And I even was thinking when they did the foreshadowing about the F-15 or 14 or whatever that was on the airway, I was like, if they don't have a scene where he has to get shot down, get this, and then go get that plane and leave, I'm going to be upset. And so I thought, there, you know, nowadays I feel like that was the more modern inclusion into the storyline, because, you know, in the old days, they probably wouldn't have done something to that extreme and kind of unrealistic, right? So I thought that it gives us a little taste of new with a little taste of old. Don already talked about the cast and everybody. I got to give special shout outs to Phoenix. She was awesome.
She was awesome.
Really enjoyed that character. Fanboy, I was laughing. I was like, that would probably be my name because I'm like a big old fanboy with all the nerd stuff. But it's just having this feeling of what I had back growing up going to the movie theaters is really what hit me the most. And that's what makes me want to go back and see it again. And then to add in all those details of seeing people actually flying the plane, like rewatching Top Gun right now before, and again, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw a lot of it before we did this podcast. You can see the actors in the cockpit, and there's a difference of just acting, and you don't see kind of the fear component or the physical component of being in the plane. But in this movie, you see it. Like when they make those turns, he's just like, oh, like when he turns this way, he's like, oh, there it goes again. And you see that G-force impacting them or whatever. And each actor you could see differently, even just like looking around, like as they plant their hands and they're kind of like looking around.
Yeah, the hands on the glass that they did a lot, where he was kind of like always like,
to kind of like brace yourself.
Himself. Yeah.
Yep. And like when they would take the dip, I remember there's a scene where Miles Teller, like you see him float out of the chair a little bit, and he's like, shit, and I could imagine, like, I've never been in a jet, but I've had that experience on like a roller coaster or something. And I'm like, okay. And, it kind of puts you in that spot. So I loved that practical realism and inclusion into it, as I talked about a little bit. I love the predictability. I loved, and the acting was great. I mean, Tom Cruise did an excellent job. The graphics that were included did an excellent job. Every one of the cast members was amazing, and all did each component. You talked about the credits and the opening credits. I love the end credits where they show the little clip of the person and then says their name. Like I will forever to this day, like I still remember the Predator and seeing those as they kind of did that at the end of Predator. And I remember even as a kid thinking like, why don't they do this in every movie? Like I love that. And so
I love
introducing.
Yeah. I love that they included that in this film. It's kind of like a little, just closing the book, and the recap is always a pleasant thing. And again, you kind of talked about like, would the death of Maverick had been more impactful and like a bigger splash ending and kind of like a conclusion to the story? All of the answer to all those things is yes. But I appreciated and actually really loved the happy ending. It let me walk out of that theater super pumped, super happy. Like, I went out in a positive way as opposed to having some slight downer feelings. And it opens up the door in case they ever did want to do something else again. So it makes me excited to see like where that could go. And if they don't, I don't care, because that was a great conclusion to the story anyway. I didn't need him to die, because what I liked is that maybe the story wasn't needing him to die because he was losing everything, but rather his wildness of himself was dying. Like he was getting, grounded and tied to Penny and her daughter, and now reestablishing the relationship with Rooster. No, he was fixing things. He was getting things back on track. And I feel like it was the ending of the wild, Maverick, and now we're getting the more like.
Oh, he's gonna leave her in like 4 days.
Yeah, the next movie is gonna be a totally different girl. But no, I thought it was a good way to close it out, and it could go either way, whether it's the end of the whole franchise or whether there's another one. But I'll go ahead and stop there. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to go see it again. And if you haven't seen it and for some reason you're still listening to us, biggest screen you can find, loudest system you can find, you want to feel like you're in the jet.
All right, Peeps, take it. Would you love?
Thing I surprised you guys didn't mention, the opening scene. I thought that was really cool. Again, I don't know airplanes, but I'm like, that's kind of like a B-52-ish looking.
It's awesome.
Looking jet.
I
And
love the whole
man,
opening too.
like yeah, and like how it was like it was starting to like the metal was lighting up and that whole scene was super dope. And and again, in terms of predictability, don't push it over 10. Like, all right, he's
Yeah,
gonna push it
exactly.
over
As soon as he said stop right at 10, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's gonna push it, man. He's
Yeah.
like, come on, just a little bit more.
10.
10.1, 10.2, 10.3.
Right.
Boom.
And that'll go into like the next part that I really like. I love the comedy. Like I don't remember the first one at all. I don't know if there were any funny moments. I know there was cocky Tom Cruise moments, but I don't know if it was actually a funny movie. I think Goose's character was actually kind of funny, but like the comedy when they included it in this movie, it was really good. It was really funny. Like that scene specifically, you see it all like lit up, and you're like, okay, so they didn't just kill him off, unless they're going to go like 2 weeks earlier or something like
2 weeks
that. But then him just walking into the diner and the kid, where am I? Earth. That's
Earth.
great.
That was so funny.
Awesome.
It was cute. So
Everybody,
funny.
I want to know where the hell he was. I want to know how far he got. Like that was
Right?
like, I mean, he was going so damn fast.
That was so cool.
Like, he could have been in another country. Who knows how fucking where he went?
Right. And and then also like when the John Hamm's character he asked him like that rhetorical question and he was about to answer and the warlock dude stopped him. That was a rhetorical question. Oh, that's super funny.
I liked when he said he was first in his class too, and he's like, I was actually second. Just want to set expectations.
Oh, and the whole in that scene too, like you really need to work on your timing.
With the lowering the deck or whatever.
Yeah. So just really funny, and you were mentioning cast as well. I personally really liked Hangman. Like he was cocky, but for a reason. Like out of everybody, he was the only way to act. He was the only one that on the first try actually went through that ravine as fast as he did. And I don't know. I liked his character. I liked his little show up at the end. Yeah. I thought though he was the guy like the basketball dude from Stranger Things. For those of you that have seen it, I thought I was like, oh, is that dude? Yeah, he's everywhere right now, but it's not the same guy. It's not, but whatever.
Expendables 3.
And I don't remember his character's name, but the black dude that was with Tom Cruise in the beginning of the movie,
Hondo.
Hondo.
I loved his character.
So
like
good.
At the end when they did their little goodbye, like a character that had been there throughout this entire movie, and they could have pulled some character from the original, and then brought him there to be his right hand man kind of thing, but they just added some character that we had never seen before, and and that little goodbye that they had at the very end, like again, they knew it was a suicide mission and you're probably not coming back, and I love that moment that they had. And
what I thought was interesting is that they brought Hondo to the school, like because he was all in that opening scene with the whole test of the mock jet and everything, and then they're like, oh, you've got orders, you're off to Top Gun. And then Hondo's there, and I'm like, how the hell?
Yeah,
that
you saved everybody's job. You were able to get the extension and all that. Yeah.
Like so that I would have liked an explanation there on how the hell he got there. Like, did he request them, or was he like, can I have a helper?
Yeah,
I know, but they didn't make it seem like that was an option. They were just like, you got orders, go to him.
Yeah, and then he was there too. Yeah,
and then he was there. So I thought that was odd.
Yeah, so
I like when he catches the football and then he's like, "What the hell?" And then everyone tackled him.
They just tackle him, yeah, and then just awkwardly lay on top of him for a while.
It was funny. It's a good moment.
Yeah. Liked him. Also, like you guys are talking about and you mentioned the older generation kind of in the theaters, and I know from my theater there was a lot of folks like we're used to going to our Marvel movies, so there's a bunch of younger, and there's there's older folks too there, but like in my theater there was like grandpas and dads and of all and it was kind of cool. It took me a little bit longer to get out of the theater. Everybody had to get down the stairs a little bit longer than normal, but but it was neat. It was neat to see, because my theater was still pretty crowded, and it's I don't know however many days after the movie released, and I don't know, like you said, DX, it's neat to see all generations kind of getting out to watch this movie, because 35
36 years.
36 years. Like, man, yeah, a lot of. Most people have seen Top Gun up to this point.
I would say that like 80% of my theater probably was 60 plus. Like when I went to see
interesting,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw an article earlier today that was like Top Gun, the perfect movie to take your dad to. I was like,
Buddy, I was thinking that same thing. Yeah, I was thinking that same thing.
And then my wife's like, "You should take your dad to go see it."
And you know, you were talking about the flying, you know, and I'm thinking like, is every single scene that they're showing him and them actually in the cockpit, like flying these planes and flipping side to side and whatnots, and I'm sure they are, but like that's incredible. Like that's absolutely incredible. And then as he's like going up and you hear him like kind of breathing, and I saw this documentary a long time ago, and they talk about like when those G's are hitting you, you have to like hold your breath and then like do these quick little chits in order to prevent yourself from passing out. You have to let a little bit of oxygen into your lungs at different intervals in order to keep yourself from. And then everybody unexperienced will immediately pass out, but these like experienced guys like chit chit chit, and I don't know. And you heard the breathing throughout the entirety of this movie. And I'm sure, like, my point was like the older generation, I'm sure the old pilots are like, all right, they did that shit right. So
they nailed it.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. And you guys mentioned you know, the whole end scene as well. I've mentioned the end scene. It really cool. Why is it that the flares, for me, whenever a movie has flares, the flare effects are so fucking cool?
They are super cool.
They fly out all over the place,
Yeah.
and then the missiles go and explodey, and I don't know. It's a very exciting thing for me. Let me see. You know, the when he first got on the Top Gun facility, and he's like driving again, trying to race like the airship, you know, very similar to the original as well. Like, you know, this is the nostalgia moments.
Motorcycle.
Yeah. Did I say bicycle? Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, I said motorcycle. And the fun scenes were fun. So
yeah.
Fun scenes were
that's
fun.
all I.
There you go.
Scenes were fun.
They should put that on a poster. The fun scenes are fun.
Top Gun. Fun scenes are fun.
Top Gun Maverick. The fun scenes are fun.
Yeah.
When it's fun, it's fun.
What would your call sign be, Frigginz? I was thinking about me, and I think I'll be Gemini. That sounds like a good aviator.
Ooh, that is a good one. I guess Frigginz wouldn't work, so
Nope.
I'm not sure. I think Azul. I like that because of the blue eyes. You know, Azul. I like that. I like blue. It's my favorite color.
Spoiler alert! Jeez. No. Cool.
Don's would be DX. I mean, that's straight.
No.
I would just be DONMEGA, just straight up. That's what it would be. DONMEGA.
Biohazard, huh?
I would take Biohazard as well.
There you
you
go.
go. I like it. Good call out. All right, well, let's talk box office real quick, man, because this thing is killing it too, guys. So Top Gun Maverick broke the Memorial Day opening record, along with the highest debut ever for a Tom Cruise movie, which is crazy figuring how long his career has been. 126 million for the 3-day weekend, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And because it's Memorial Day, if you add in the 4th day, which they do for Memorial Day weekend, $156 million for this movie. It also ties for Tom Cruise's best reviewed film ever. So this movie is tied with Mission Impossible Fallout to be his best reviewed film, according to Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, man, that is crazy to think. When I heard that this was pacing to be his biggest box office debut, I couldn't believe it. Like, his highest was $63 million for War of the Worlds.
That blows my mind.
Which is just insane. That none of even the Mission Impossible movies had topped 63 million. I think Fallout made 61, so it almost topped it. But that's still crazy to me that a Mission Impossible movie at this point, like 6 movies in, that it wouldn't be debuting more than $100 million at this point, right? So kind of shocking, man. But his movies, what they say, are more of a stay and play, right? So they open and then they kind of they prolong, and people continue to see them because they're well reviewed and they go back and forth, but they don't open very big. So just crazy for him at this point in his career to get his biggest ever. This is the first time in like 4 years that a movie had opened this high that wasn't a comic book movie or like a Disney movie. So like that's incredible in its own right, to just show you like just a regular movie can do it after all this time. 156 mil, and like I said, best reviewed, biggest debut ever for Tom Cruise. Incredible, man.
Amazing.
Incredible. So just wanted to shout that out. That was pretty damn awesome there. So all right, well, let's go into final thoughts and scores, and as we kind of take this baby home. So I think we've said it many times how incredible most of this movie is for two of us at least, and I had a blast with it. Like I said, saw it twice, all within 24 hours. So that's not easy to do if a movie ain't worth it. So I enjoyed it so much, and it was so nostalgic. I can't wait to see it again. Definitely be buying this one and into the collection when it comes out. Big ups to Tom Cruise for really holding his ground that this movie debut in theaters. He knew how important it was. This is, of course, a movie that we talked about before that was supposed to come out in 2020, and then COVID hit, and it got delayed for a year, and then it was supposed to come out, then it got delayed again. It's been delayed 4 or 5 times, this for 2 years. And during that time, of course, Paramount Plus was like, yo, give us that shit. Like, let's just put it on streaming. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Which what a lot of movies did during COVID. And Tom Cruise was like, hell to the no. This movie needs to be in theaters. I will not let it go to streaming. He was a producer on the film. He got some pull, and he was like, it's not going to happen. And they held out, and look what happened. Look at this money. And good on them, man, because it would have been very easy during that time to just say, after, a year and a half, 2 years of delays, to be like, let's just put it on our streamer and call it a day. And they didn't. And now we're 156 million just in the US, another 150 worldwide, over 300 million already in a week. I mean, incredible. So awesome movie. Can't preach it enough. What a pleasant surprise. Like I said, for a movie that wasn't even in my top 10 most anticipated, not even on my most, secondary list, like blown away at what this did. And for me, this is a 5-star film, baby. This hit on all marks for me. This gave me everything I needed coming out of it for what I wanted from a Top Gun movie, and a sequel that was given to me 36 years down the road. What else could I have asked for? I appreciated it, and I had a blast with it, and this is what cinema really is all about. So 5 out of 5 for me. So I'll pass it over to Fred. What you got? Final thoughts and scores, my friend.
Well, I'm going to kick it in overdrive and fly out this real quick. I'm going to be brief. It was amazing. I had tons of fun. It gave me everything I wanted. It was on my top 10, and it will be on my top 10 by the end of the year for how it turned out. So 5 stars for me good as well. It was super fun. And I got the need for speed, and that's what I got. So,
yes, sir.
Peeps.
All right, Peeps. He's gonna bring down the house right now.
I know, man. Why you gotta end with me now? I'm the Nancy. All right. This movie was a lot of fun, and remember what I said. Fun was to be fun. At fun had. I don't remember what I said, but I had no expectations going into it. I was not excited for this movie going into it. I will say, though, I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the action and the comedic elements that they had added, as well as the just the special effects overall. Yes, I would have. There's other bits and pieces and nitpicks that I would have liked to see for a theatrical big movie that people are saying best movie of 2020. To me, it's definitely not the best movie of 2020, and I'm sure it will make my top 10. Because at the end of the day, as much as I can nitpick, that was a pretty stellar ending to the movie. along with the beginning and everything else that I said that I did like about this movie. So it's complicated for me to rate this movie based on things I liked and didn't like and expected. But I will say, for me, it exceeded my 0 expectations.
Yes,
But
that's a win.
I still had some little nitpicks and things I would have liked a little bit more. So for that, I'm giving it a 3.5. And Don, I know you love decimals in your in ratings.
Just rounded up to a 4. So Peeps gives it a 4, everybody. Because we don't do halves. So he's giving it a 4.
All right. I'll take it. We're
gonna round it up. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And even if they don't like make another one, like it's good by itself. Like it's not like they set it up. And like even though that end credit scene, I told you the guy's hand coming up, they could do more stuff. But even if they just stopped right here, maybe in another 30 years, our old ass is going to struggling on the stairs at the movie theaters again. With Tom Cruise still there, flying airplanes. Yeah, but
well, let's pose that question then, real quick. Do we think there will be a sequel to this?
There's money, dude.
There's
like,
money.
if anybody who watches the pitch meetings, it's like, hey, you like money? Well, we can do this again if you like. For that, I could see them doing it, and they, but man, how much?
Rather easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Man, the $15 million budget? Really? Oh no, that's the original. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not this movie.
I got to get my.
This is a little higher.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is around a $200 million budget. They spent a lot of money for them jets. They had to rent them bitches.
Oh man.
Yeah, Tom Cruise just bought a bunch of jets. They're in my backyard, and it's good.
Come on, sequel. You got to call it.
I think they will. I think it's
too much money.
There's money.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I would not have thought going into it that there would ever be another one, that this is it. And it very well could be. But money. That's all we got to say. Money. And the dump truck is a backing up right now. And it's got that money. And studios love money. So I think there's more story to be told, man. Like they could play something where now he is the head,
Bob.
Guy.
Top Gun, Bob.
Top Gun.
I want to see Phoenix. Top Gun Phoenix.
Hey, man, he's got his team now. So, another mission pops up. He knows who he can go to, who he could trust. It's all about people we can trust. So, all righty. Well, there you go. Sequel, maybe. Top Gun 3. Maybe in we'll go 10 years on this one. So
wow.
we got to do the next couple of Mission Impossibles, and then we'll roll out in 2028. We'll come back with some more Top Gun and take
real
it from
quick.
there.
The Mission Impossible, was that really Tom Cruise jumping off that cliff on that motorcycle?
Yep.
Please, man, this dude is crazy.
He's like in his 50s or 60s or something.
He's 59, I think. So he jumps off the motorcycle and then hang glides down. And they said they shot that thing like 20 times, like just to get it right. So, and get it from all the different angles, and they got the drones, filming and stuff. So it's gonna be insane. And that's just for 7. We still got Dead Reckoning Part 2 and see what he does in that one. So
yeah, really,
he's gonna keep amping it up, man. He's gonna be free falling from the moon next time.
The moon, yeah. He's all on fire.
Yeah. He's gonna die making one of these movies, and it's gonna be like worth it.
Right. On Tombstone.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for tuning in here tonight. Let's wrap it up. Let's do some shout outs here as we go around the horn. So I'm gonna start with Frigginz. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, easy peasy. I keep it at Frigginz, Frigginz, Frigginz with a Z. That's on Instagram or Twitter or Letterboxd if you do the movie stuff. Also, we pop up on Twitch occasionally, twitch.tv/Mead and Friends, where my friends and I play some D&D. That's about every other Saturday night. This coming Saturday, which I believe is like the June 4th or something, should be an on game. So about every 2 weeks from then, it's usually where you can catch us doing that if you're into that sort of thing. But of course, I am lucky enough to continue to be invited to reddragonsradio.com to be here on Am I Still on the Air, and also over there at the People's Forum.
All right. Peeps,
Oh,
Where the
thanks
people,
for that
where the
segue.
peeps gonna find you?
Hey.
Hey.
Yes. So as Frigginz just mentioned, I have a podcast, The People's Forum, every Monday. I like to talk about Marvel. I always say
There's
Marvel
DC
DC.
also,
I haven't
but
really talked about DC all
I'm
that
not.
much.
I don't really got any DC stuff for you guys tonight. But
That's on
we're gonna
DC.
keep
That's
the
not on
DC
Peeps. That's on DC.
Oh, there's DC news. Peeps just don't like talking about it.
It's just I want to talk about CWs, but yeah, you're right. I should just hand that part over to you, DX, and just you be my
There you
DC
go.
guy. But but
I'll feed you news each week, presented by DONMEGA.
Spelled just like People's right there, and you could I'm on the Stitchers, the Googles, the iTunes, the Facebooks. Just search it. If you like that kind of stuff, I have these guys on there every now and then. They were just on not too long ago talking about some Moon Knight, if that's your kind of thing. So yeah. Get at me.
Get at them. Follow these guys, and of course, follow our show at Simply Am I on the Air, all one word. And of course, you can follow me directly at DX DONMEGA as well. The normal podcast of Am I on the Air runs every single Monday night as well, bringing you the latest and the greatest entertainment news and television, movies, and non-spoiler reviews, because we save them spoilers for right here on Am I Still on the Air. And you can, of course, find us on all your favorite podcast platforms as well, all your favorite social medias, your YouTubes, your Instagrams, your TikToks. We're on everything. Just search Am I on the Air and follow along. So that'll do it once again. Hey, guys, make sure you check out the other Am I Still in the Airs. If you like what you heard here and maybe you missed some other stuff or you're new to the show, go back. We have our Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that we did a couple weeks ago. We got a whole bunch of other ones too, the Batman and a whole bunch more. If you go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Am I on the Air, click on the playlist that says Am I Still on the Air, and you'll have a whole list of them there that you can check out. And if you go to reddragonsradio.com as well, there's a Am I Still in the Air tab where you can listen to all the shows directly as well too. They go back for many years. You can listen to our top 10 show we've been mentioning a couple times here tonight, our top 10 most anticipated of 2022, our countdowns of 2021, and a whole bunch more. So make sure you check those out and support the crew here. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in for this impromptu Am I Still on the Air Top Gun Maverick spoiler review. We appreciate y'all. And until next time, peace.